Hey guys, Jesse Lavelle, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing the definitive review of the RF 16mm lens. Now let me just run down the specs really quickly with you guys. So this lens is made for the RF mount. It has an aperture range of f2.8 to f22. It's made of one spherical element. It's made with the STM stepping motor. It's also got a customizable control ring in lack of having the autofocus and manual focus switch. If you want to switch between autofocus and manual focus, you need to do it in the menu of the camera with this lens. There is no manual switch. This also has 7 rounded diaphragm blades. It's got an ultra-wide field of view of 16mm, which makes it perfect for walking around and vlogging. It's also got a minimum focus distance of 5.1 inches. It's got the maximum magnification of 0.26 times, and it lacks stabilization. That could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing. Lacking stabilization keeps it really small and light, which again makes it easy for people to walk around and vlog with. The fact that it doesn't have stabilization means that you're going to be reliant on the internal body stabilization of your body. We're going to get to that later. Stick around, guys, and I'm going to get right to it. I'm out here in the woods. It's close to sunset, so we should be able to find some cool spots where the light looks pretty, and we should be able to take some shots of the trees and stuff to kind of assess what the damage is from distortion, and something about the distortion from some of my previous videos where I tried to do the correction myself. I've since learned that I can use the RF 24 to 105, f4 to 7.1 lens profile correction, adjust the distortion to 135, and it works pretty good. It's a lot better than what I was doing anyway. So we're going to take a bunch of stills photography shots. We're going to just kind of lay them out here while I'm walking around talking with you guys. And we're also just going to kind of show it, you know, the raw image, and then using that, again, the distortion profile from the RF 24 to 105 lens set to 135 distortion. So you can see how they come out now. The one really big disappointment when I got this lens was, and I think a lot of people are going to be interested in using this lens with either an R6 or an R5. This lens does not have stabilization, but the R6 and the R5 have internal body stabilization. So a lot of people like myself, I think when you see this lens on paper, first thing you think is, well, it doesn't have stabilization, that's going to keep it light. I can throw it onto my body that has internal body stabilization, and that's going to make for the perfect vlogging setup. Unfortunately, that didn't turn out to be the case. When I use just IBIS and I have the 16mm lens hooked onto my R6, I've gotten what's a really undesirable shake. It has really bad IBIS wobble, as well as it seems to be like it's being so aggressive with the stabilization that toward the edge of my frame, I'm even getting what looks like rolling shutter. So you get this really undesirable kind of jello kind of shake. It's just not worth using, really. So you can kind of aid that by using the digital enhanced stabilization so it'll crop in. But at that point, you're pretty much cropped into almost like a 24mm field of view, which is really disappointing. So, I mean, I'm not saying that you can't use it for vlogging, and you can't use it with IBIS, and of course, you're going to be able to stabilize things in post and try to get as much salvageable footage as you can. It's just too bad that it seems that the IBIS doesn't work really well with such a wide angle lens. You are going to still need to use some kind of a gimbal or something to get really stable footage and be able to vlog with this lens. The bokeh looks really pleasing out of the lens when you're recording at f2.8, so I was really happy about that. And it's bright enough of an aperture that you can shoot indoors with it without having to crank up your ISO. The new mirrorless bodies like the R6 and R5 are so good with high ISO performance that this works indoors. This lens really checks a lot of boxes, especially when it comes to having an f2.8 aperture. Even if I decide to shoot wide open at f2.8, it still retains really nice sharpness towards the center of the frame. There's so much distortion, unfortunately, that when you start to look out towards the edges of your frame, you notice that, you know, obviously the image is being stretched. You're going to see a little bit more of what looks like noise, but it's just distortion. And it's unfortunate, but totally usable, and I'm still happy that the center of the frame is really nice and sharp. So as far as just, you know, general image quality coming out of an inexpensive lens like this, really happy with it. So again, guys, I just want to come back to what I talked about before a little bit. If you are looking to buy this lens for vlogging or doing general purpose video with the really wide angle lens and you really want to take advantage of the total field of view of 16 millimeters, you're probably still going to have to look at using a gimbal, unfortunately. So like that was one of the big disappointments that comes with purchasing this lens. I was really hoping I could just slap it on the R6, walk around handheld, and get some decently smooth footage. Unfortunately, that isn't the case here. So if you're thinking about using this as your like run and gun kind of shoot and vlog, which it totally is capable of doing, and again, if you're willing to use enhanced stabilization with that more of a crop, again, it's only going to really get your face. You're not going to get a lot of the environment like I really like to do with the 16 millimeter focal length. So again, if you want really cinematic, smooth footage, and you want the full field of view of the 16 millimeter lens that this is going to be able to provide you with, you're going to still need to stabilize it with a gimbal to get really nice footage. So overall image quality, I've been pretty happy with this lens. You know, even if I choose to shoot at f2.8, it retains decent sharpness towards the center of the frame. Unfortunately, due to the fact that there is, you know, a decent amount of distortion, which you should really expect when you're using an ultra wide angle lens like this, but because of that distortion out towards the corners of the frame, things definitely become a little bit more stretched out and a little bit softer. Now, that might get better when Adobe does put out an official profile correction out there so that I can actually have a profile correction made for this lens. Like I said, right now I'm using the 24-105 f4 to 7.1 lens. I don't know if, you know, the fact that I'm using the wrong profile correction to address my images is part of the reason that I'm getting so much degradation towards the edge of the frame there. The other thing I do want to mention is I'm noticing quite a bit of purple fringing when I take pictures of things like leaves or trees. Again, this is only happening out towards the extreme edge of the frame. But again, so it does suffer from some fringing. It does suffer from soft corners. It does retain nice, decent sharpness towards the center, and these are just things that you're going to worry about if you're being super, you know, nitpicky. Like, overall, I'm really happy with it. I think it takes beautiful, nice shots. I think landscape people are going to be happy with it. Other than that, again, for an inexpensive prime lens that's so light, I'm super, super happy with it. Again, if you're a vlogger like me and you just wanted this for vlogging, don't be super disappointed. Unfortunately, the IBIS and this may not be the best combination for just walking, talking, and vlogging, but there are solutions that you can get around it with. Again, you can use the IBIS mixed with the digital enhanced stabilization, and that will give you pretty decent results. Mixed with the type of stabilization that you can use in post, you're going to be able to still vlog with this lens. It's still going to be light. It's still going to look nice. So you totally can vlog with this lens. I just want people to be aware that the IBIS doesn't really work that great with such an ultra wide angle lens. Again, guys, if you think this video helped you in any way, think about going below, subscribing, clicking the notification bell, and I'll see you guys on my next video.